What up YouTube fam, we in here, anthonytoglife, back with another video, and in this one I'm giving the people what the people want. Now a few weeks ago I dropped a video comparing the bare bulb to the Fresnel head with the AD200, and I got quite a few requests asking about the AD-B2 versus the AD400. So since I have them both, and y'all know I love to do this sort of thing, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's get to work. So let's kick it off with flash output. Let's see how the two lights compared. So I have my light meter set up here on a light stand, have my light over here. I have measured the distance, so it's going to be 36 inches apart. I have used the level to make sure that everything is going to be leveled this way. This isn't going to be the most scientific, but it's pretty daggone close to get you the information that you want. So in terms of setting, I have this set at 1/1/60th of a second, ISO 100, and yes, I say ISO, regardless of what Vanessa Joy says. And no, I'm not a noob. I just like saying ISO because it's easier. ISO. 1/1/60th of a second, ISO 100, and we're going to see what f-stop we get. So we're going to start with the AD-B2 with the two AD200s. And right now they are set on 1/16th flash power, which I would do the same for the AD200. So let's get a reading. So we're getting f6.3. Now with the power of video magic, we're going to switch the AD-B2 to the AD400 and we're going to meter that. So same thing, settings are the same, set to f6 or flash power of 1/16th, and we will do the same. And now we're getting f7. So that's 1/3 stop difference. So as you can see, in terms of flash output, they are comparable, which is what you would expect. The AD400 is a 400 watt strobe. The AD-B2 uses two 200 watts strobes. So you would expect them to be about in the same. And based off of this non-scientific test, I would say they're pretty daggone close. Recycle time. So let's test the recycle time first and then we'll talk about it after the fact. So what you want to pay attention to is the red lights that are on the flash. When those lights are lit red, that means the flash is ready to fire. It's ready to go. When that light is off, it means that it is recharging. And so that's how we're going to test the recycle time. So I'm going to start at 1/16th power and work our way up. So let's go. So as you can hear, those are about the same. So let's move up to 8th power. Same thing, 1/4 power. About the same. 8400 is kind of kicking in a little bit, 1/2 power. So as you can hear there's a bit of a discrepancy. The 8400 is recycling just a little bit faster, and the 8200s are not recycling at the same speed, and that could just be due to battery power. And now full power. When it comes to recycle time, you can see there is a difference between the AD400 and the AD-B2, but we really didn't see that discrepancy until we got into 1/4 power, 1/2 power, full power. Now, although both of these are the equivalent of 400 watts, the AD400 has a bigger battery. And so when it comes to pulling from that battery to recycle that flash, the AD400 is going to have the advantage. But if you're not the type of shooter that shoots at 1/2 power or full power a lot, the AD-B2 would be more than sufficient. But if you are that type of shooter, the AD-B2 could really let you down. I didn't time it, but it seemed like there was at least like a second difference between the recycle times for the two. And that really could impact and slow down a portrait session. So when it comes to the two, it depends on what you shoot, how you shoot, and what you expect out of your flash. So let's talk modeling light. I want to measure these first before we get into the differences to see what kind of output we're getting. Now, as you can see, I have a modifier here because I feel like most people wouldn't be using a modeling lamp bare. So I want to see what kind of light output we're getting in a practical situation through a modifier. So I have a 34-inch beauty dish, and I am going to put the meter right up to the diffusion to do the test. And I want to do that to make sure that I'm canceling out any ambient light. Now, I've turned off my video light, but there is still light coming through the window. So I want to make sure that none of that is going to impact the reading. So let's see what we're getting with the AD-B2. I'll measure it in a couple of different spots just to see if it's consistent. So we're getting F2 for the AD-B2, and the settings are at 1/160th of a second, ISO 100. So if we switch over to the AD400 and we do the same thing, take reading in multiple spots, we're getting between F2.2 and F2.5, which is 1/3 of a stop to 2/3 of a stop difference. So as you can see, they are comparable. The AD400 is slightly brighter by that 1/3 to 2/3 stops, but in most situations, they would function about the same. You're going to get about the same level of output. But you may be able to hear the fan in the AD400. It is loud, where your AD-B2 does not have a fan. It uses a heat sink instead. So when it comes to light output, they're fairly equal. Again, the AD400 does have a slight edge, but if you already had an AD-B2 or you were going that route, this isn't going to give you that much more light output to where it would make this the clear winner. When it comes to transporting, the AD400 is definitely the easier option. You have one case, you have everything you need in that case. It's easy, you pick it up, you go. Whereas with the AD-B2, you've got to have your two AD200s, you got to have your AD-B2, basically the bracket, the S bracket, and then I have this small Pelican case that I keep my bulbs in. So you're looking at 4 cases compared to your 1 case. This is clearly going to be more work, more effort to transport. If you were transporting it like this, then this would be. But if I move this out the way and I show you what I carry mine in. So I have this rugged bag. I don't know the brand, or I don't know the make of the bag, because I got this for free when I bought my 5D4 some time ago. And I really never used it. And one day I was trying to think of a way to be able to carry all of these things in just one bag so that I didn't have all of this stuff, and this bag worked out really well. So let me show you how this all fits so you can see that this would be an option. So let's get the first AD200. Boom, it's gonna go in there like that. We got the second AD200. Boom, it goes in there like that. We've got the AD-B2, fits in there just like that. And in this case here, I just like to keep my bulbs in its own case. So you don't have to do this. Obviously, you can do it some other kind of way, but it's just easier this way because it's hard to find a cover for the AD-B2. Like, you can't find one, and the one that fits, it's never in stock at B&H. So there's no Bowens mount cover to where you could just keep the bulbs in the AD-B2 and then keep it covered so you could transport it that way. So that was a huge pain. So I had to think of a way where I could transport the bulbs easily. And so I just picked up this little Pelican case and put the bulbs in there. So we have that. And then that fits right in there. Then I can close it up. And so now I have everything in that one case. So there are options. If you want to go with this, there are options where you can just put it in one case and you can easily transport this around. And so now this one case is just as easy as the AD400. Setup time. There are no shortcuts. When it comes to the AD-B2, there are a lot of parts. You have the bracket itself. You have the AD200s that go on the brackets. Then you have to put the bulbs into the AD-B2. Whereas with your AD400, it is essentially already together. You put the battery on it and you're ready to go. But I want to compare the time that it takes to get both of them ready to mount onto a light stand. Now, keep in mind, you could certainly keep your AD-B2 kit all together somehow and transport it all as one, and then it would be just as easy. So I'm not saying you can't do that. I just want to look at the amount of time it would take from pulling it out the case to being ready to mount it to a light stand. I want to look at how much time it takes. So I'm going to do them both. Obviously, I'm going to speed it up for you, and let's see how much time it takes. Now, I'm going to start with the AD400 because that's the easier one. So
let's move these out the way.
And let's start the clock and let's see how long it takes. Let's go. So there you go. 21 seconds to get it out of the case and have it ready to put on a light stand. So let's compare that to the AD-B2. All right, I got everything up here. Wish me luck. Here we go. There we have it, 1 minute and 20 seconds. So it basically took an extra minute to be able to put this together. Now, let me say, because I know people are going to be trying to tell me like, oh, Anthony, you can touch these. That's the protective cover. I know. I use a plastic bag just because that's me. That's just what I do. I know I can touch it. I just don't like to. I don't want my fingerprints on it. So that's why I use a little baggie to put those in. So it took a whole minute extra to be able to put this together. Now, I know that seems very trivial and you would think a minute is not a big deal. And really 1 minute isn't a big deal. But when you look at a photo shoot in general, every extra minute that you have here, minute there, it does add up. And when you have a lot of different parts like this, you also would have a greater chance of something malfunctioning. One of the 8200s not working, you dropping a bulb, any of the sort. So the more parts you have, the more risk you have in your workflow. So although I am a huge fan of the AD-B2, I still recommend people go this route over the AD400 just for the flexibility of having 2 flashes over 1. I cannot deny that this is more work, it takes more time to set up, and there's more risk having so many moving parts. So there you have it, 1 minute extra to put the AD-B2 together. When it comes to build quality, there's not a lot that I need to talk about, but there is something that I will discuss in just a moment. But before I do that, let me just say the AD-B2 is built like a tank. This thing is solid. It has a huge heat sink right here. You can't go wrong with this thing. It is built to where if you drop this, I would imagine you could drop it and it still is going to work. It is a very simple design in terms of the components. So it's built really well. Same with the AD400 Pro. It is built like a tank. You really wouldn't have any issue with either when it comes to build quality. But what I don't like about the AD-B2, and I want to point out, is the handle. So let me first start with the AD400. This one, it's a smooth handle. It's free. You can put it in whatever position you want to put it in, no problems. Whereas your handle over here is that old style click handle. And so the problem with that is you can't get the light exactly where you were wanting it. So when I was doing the measurement of the light, it was hard to get this perfectly level because it sits in between the 2 notches and that it is what it is. So I don't necessarily like that right there. And I also think that over time you would just kind of wear out those notches. So I don't like that. But the bigger thing that I don't like is that it doesn't have the adjuster to be able to move the handle once you have it locked in. So that's locked in right there. You can move that handle and rotate it wherever you want. So that way you can keep it out the way or whatever you need to do, you can adjust that. And I really like handles like that. The AD-B2 doesn't have that. So once it's locked in where it is. You can't move it around. So if it's down here and you want to move it out the way, you can't. You don't have that option. It is what it is. Wherever it tightens, that's where it has to stay. And I really don't like that. Now, it's not a big deal. Wouldn't be a deal breaker if you were looking to get an AD-B2, but just something to think about. Maybe at some point they may bring out a new version of this that has the better handle, but for now, it is what it is. But outside of that, can't go wrong with either. Build quality, solid. Let's talk light output. Now, when it comes to both of these flashes, I am expecting them to be pretty much the same. They are both the equivalent of 400 watts. They are both bare bulb. So I don't anticipate seeing that variance of meter readings the way that we saw with the Fresnel head and the AD200. But let's slap this bad boy up here and find out. Meter settings are the same, 1/160th of a second, ISO 100. Flash power will be at 132. So let's go. So I'm getting F11. So let's swap out the AD400, put the AD-B2 in, and let's meter that and see what we get. And we're getting F10, so that is a third of a stop difference. So as we anticipated, as we expected, you are going to get about the same level of output from both the AD-B2 and the AD400. So there you have it, folks. First of all, I hope you found this video helpful or entertaining. But more importantly, as you can see in this video, I tried something different. This was different than a lot of the other videos that I've posted. And so I would really love to have your feedback on what you thought about the video, the elements, how I put it together. I'm always trying to do different things just to spice things up, just to keep it interesting for me and to keep it good and interesting for the viewers. So please drop a comment down below. Give me your feedback. Let me know what you liked about this video, what you didn't like about this video, what you would want me to change, what you would want me to keep. I am always open to hearing feedback and critique, because at the end of the day, as much as I like making these videos, I am making these videos for people to view them. So I want you to enjoy the videos. So I am not above getting any type of advice, feedback, or critique. Doesn't mean that I'm going to change anything per se, but I definitely like to know what you think. So please leave that down in the comments below. As always, you know, I appreciate you watching my videos. If you like this video and you want to support me, please give it a thumbs up. You know how much it helps. And if you like it and you want to make sure you don't miss other videos, go ahead and subscribe. Do like Anita Ward said, ring that bell. I do think that I'm going to pare back the number of videos that I put out. For the month of January, I was putting out like 3 or 4 videos a week. And to be honest with you guys, that's just not sustainable. I have so much other stuff to do and these videos take so much time. So I do think I'm going to pare it down to 1 video a week, maybe 2 videos a week, but I want to put a little bit more production into those 1 or 2 videos. So with that being said, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate it if you've made it this far, supporting me, commenting on my videos. I say it in every video and I mean it in every video. Thank you. I appreciate you. Until the next video, take care.